working for Oshun. I definitely see her as the owner of sweetness, right? She's also called the mother of rivers, which is aptly appropriate. I've always connected that. She's also called she who adorns herself with brass and gold, and she whose presence brings prosperity. So that says a whole lot about Oshun. Now, who she is she is a major Orisha in the Yoruba religious system of West Africa. So she's an OG. She's one of the higher ranking, and I think literally structurally among the most powerful. I think because Yamoja is her daughter, I think she's at the top of it, especially since she is the one who's represented, the closest association with water, which is life, right? So they don't run from that at all. So she's a very, very powerful deity. She's the goddess of rivers. She has fertility. This is her bag. I'm going to break her bag out for you. So we've got rivers, fertility, obviously beauty, right? She ain't missing that one. Love, of course. She got sweetness. I can feel it. Diplomacy, prosperity, and emotional balance, right? So she's not minor in any way. She is full-fledged, and she is 100% central to this belief system and how it develops. And there's some great stories about Oshun and creation and protection. She has this incredible mythology that's connected to the people, the children of the diaspora. Because look, let's be honest, without her, she's not abstract symbolism, right? You can't exist without her. If there was not water, there is no survival. Without the river, there's no civilization, right? In the early cultures, even modern cultures, we have to build your civilizations around water, right? Now we've got a little more flexibility because we can pipe water in and all that stuff. But particularly for older civilizations, if there was not a river, a lake, a body of water, you simply didn't build a civilization here because you were dooming yourselves to destruction. So from the beginning, from her earliest inceptions, and we'll talk about when she was first conceived of as a being, she was tied to the continuity of life. That never goes away. She never loses that component, and I think that's the most special component of who she is. Now, let's talk about the people themselves who worship her. And this is the Yoruba people, who are an ethnic group native primarily to what we call now southwestern Nigeria, as well as parts of Benin and Togo. So this is a culture that has been around since the first millennium. So they have a long history established during the first millennium. Their sacred city is Ife. It becomes a major spiritual and cultural center even to today. And they have complex city-states that developed out of this through this civilization. And their religious systems were very highly structured and very codified. So Yoruba religion is not primitive folklore in that sense. It is very different in the sense it is a highly organized cosmology with priesthoods, with divination systems, Ifa, and layered theology, right? This is a very complex system that really can't even be understood in simple terms. And I still suggest talking to people within the belief systems to fully get comprehension of what the belief systems actually mean. So geographically, her worship begins in the southwest of Nigeria, particularly around the Oshun River area and the sacred groves near Osogobo, right? So this is where she's rooted off. Literally, there's a river that is named after her, the Oshun River. So this is branding at the highest level. Now, in terms of chronology, she begins with oral tradition. So the oral tradition predates the written records. So worship formalized of her probably about between 1500 and 1000 years ago. So if we say now, we're looking at, Jesus, man, like 3,500 years of actual formalized worship for this deity. And she's continued strong throughout from the pre-colonial Africa into modern times. This is where she is. Because during the slave trade, that religion spread by force. They rooted the people out of Africa, but they didn't root out the belief systems as much as they tried. And Catholicism was the easiest system for them to maintain it. Because Catholics have the saints, it's very easy to assign the sainthood to these deities from West Africa. So they kept it alive in Brazil, in Cuba, in Haiti, and in the diasporic communities, and into the Americas as well. We're no different. We do have, through our Creole connection, we see a lot of that come about. All right. So not only does she survive colonization, she survives colonization, and she's as strong as ever right now. She adapts. First, she becomes synchronized with the Catholic figures, particularly Our Lady of Charity. And so then when the cultural renewal, which has been recent, has marked back, she's right back on the scene. I don't know if you guys remember, this is, man, maybe a decade ago. I'm older, so, man, I lose track of time like it's nothing. But there was a point where I think the singer Beyonce, if you're familiar with her, during her first pregnancy, she does a photo while she's pregnant, and she's modeling Oshun. People were like, "Oh, it's not the Virgin Mary," and I'm like, "No, that's not the Virgin Mary. It's literally her representing Oshun." So so that was a big brouhaha, and it kind of just showed like how we're lacking. Hey, welcome in, Kat. It kind of showed how we weren't able to fully grasp what she was doing. But it was a great moment, and when I saw it, it kind of changed my opinion of her, and it's been positive ever since then, because I'm like, oh, you actually know your stuff. Like, you're not just grasping at straws and doing cosplay. You actually kind of do your stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that in terms of why I messed with her because of that. But it was a great representation of what Oshun really was. Now, Oshun is also more than just romance. Like, she's loving, but what she represented to the people was fresh water. And in that area, rivers are the anchor. So she ensured that the crops were going to survive. She ensured that you go fishing. She ensured that there was drinking water. And this also preserved trade routes. So without her, famine just takes over. You're not trading. You're not thriving. So she governs pregnancy. Again, the reference to Beyonce is that she represents both fertility and continuity. So she governs pregnancy and childbirth, and women petition her for conception, safe delivery. You know what? I've typically lived by. I've always lived by bodies of water. It's kind of weird. Even when I moved here from Albuquerque, most recently, there's a river. I'm in the South now. There's a river not that far away from me. My neighbor keeps a boat in his yard, right? And goes fishing. So like living, and even by the ocean. When I was in California, I went to school in Santa Barbara. So I love living around bodies of water. I love rivers. I'm a beach guy. I think that falls under Yemoja maybe more than Oshun, but I can still mess with them. So I'm definitely about being around river. But Oshun was also rooted to protection of children. And that part is the generational part, right? The protecting the mothers, protecting the children, allowing for conception. Those are all rooted into like generational continuity. Okay. Now, the part I really like, that Oshun represents sweetness. And this isn't softness. This is sweetness balances aggression. So she is diplomacy that where others bring warfare or threats, she brings sweetness and diplomacy. And there are attempts, there's a myth where the male Orishas attempt to create the world without her, and their efforts fail. They can't do it without her. They can't. That's what she told them. She's like, come on, man, you can't do it without me. Because they lack softness. And creation requires more than force. And this was a powerful civilizational message. Because you needed that aspect. And if you try to do it without her, you're going to fail. Now, Oshun also governs joy. She's about happiness too. I feel happy just talking about her, right? Like she's that kind of deity, right? I feel happy talking about her. So this was joy. This was sensuality. This is also about adornment. You see, she knows how to adorn herself. And her sweetness is also tied to pleasure, right? We're not going to get, you can't, you want the fertility. There's some stuff that goes on before that. And she's 100% down with that as well. If you're going to conceive, there's some stuff we got to do here to work together. And after hardship, this is where her sweetness matters, because after hardship, this is what can restore your psyche. Her sweetness allows us to kind of maintain our humanity even while going through very difficult things. So if when we talk about Oshun, we have to talk about structurally how important she is. That she is food, she is life, that she is the renewal part. She's every single component of renewing for humans. And again, it's water. Try and take water out of your life and see what happens. Pretty quickly, it ain't gonna collapse. Now, let's talk about her worship, right? This is an important part. At least for her, it's important. And probably for all of you guys who want some water later on today, too, is how do you actually worship her? And again, people within the community are going to have a much better understanding of this. But as an outsider, I can say that I've heard that she likes honey. I'm not going to lie. She has a thing for honey. She has a sweet tooth. Guess you can't be sweet without a sweet tooth. She also likes yellow and gold. Like you can see, she's properly adorned. So if you were going to give her a gift, like a dress or something like that, yellow's probably going to be what she likes. She loves river ceremonies. She goes crazy over river ceremonies like nobody's business. And she likes festivals. She likes to dance. She likes sacred dances, right? And she likes festivals. Now, there's still festivals, fortunately for all the rest of us, going on in Nigeria today, still honoring her. And that's the important thing, right? She is not an ancient figure who is dead. She is actively worshipped, and this actually matters. So when we talk about Oshun and her renewal, it's broad. She's renewal through just natural flow, ecological renewal through water, emotional renewal through her sweetness and diplomacy, generational renewal, generational renewal because of fertility, and cultural. You have me thinking of something about honey. I have think about honey too, right? And she replenishes all that. It never gets depleted, right? So this is really who she is. One of the more complete and powerful deities that we'll talk about in terms of renewal. Not the boring renewal, but the real nitty, like let's have some fun, eat some honey, and bring our gold stuff.